All right, doing my space takeoff. I go to the next step, spaces, and I'm going to start creating spaces. So to do that, top right, I would create a space, and I'm gonna take off the very first space here. So I'm gonna show you what my workflow looks like when I'm doing all my spaces. I have a specific way I like to do it that just kind of makes things faster, allows me to copy paste a lot of information rather than doing it all from scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is create one space for each floor and set the slab to slab height and ceiling height that I'm going to be going with. And that will automatically populate the slab to slab and ceiling for the rest of my spaces. So I can just go through and check it instead of entering it from scratch each time. So here's my office. Rectangular spaces, I can use the rectangular drawing tool by clicking up there. And then I would just click, and there's one space. If it was a polygon, most of these are rectangular, which is very nice, but let's pretend this next one is a polygon. Create a space, I can use this polygon tool and do a more intricate space takeoff by just clicking each node. So, like I said, first thing I'm going to do is create one space. I'm going to set the slab to slab and ceiling height for that. That is why I like to have the elevation drawing kind of up here so I can go check that out. Level 1 is going to be a 12-foot, 10-inch slab to slab. So there's my space. Slab to slab is going to be 12 foot, 10 inches. And ceiling height is important if you have volumetric air change rates that you need to calculate, or if you want to separate the load from the space in the ceiling plenum. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to account for all the load in the space, even with my walls, for the time being. But I might as well check the drawings, look for those ceiling plans, and actually put in the height of my ceiling. So let's see here if they give us that. And I'm not so sure. We definitely have a reflective ceiling here. Do they tell us what that height is? I'm not seeing any dimensions here. Well, that's all right. We'll take a crack at it. Let's just call it a 9-foot ceiling for now, and can correct that later if needed. Likely, it's not going to be a big deal either way. The load is the load. So that's set for level 1. And now when I draw additional spaces, for instance, if I redraw this space, it's already going to give me the slab to slab and the ceiling height because it's right next to this space. So let's go ahead and do that for level 2. Create a space. Here's another office in the corner. This guy's got a balcony. Sweet. And this slab to slab and ceiling, let's check that. I think it's the same as level 1. 12 foot 10. Cool. And then while I'm here, the next one is 14 foot 4. All right, right on. So for this space, 12 foot 10. And this slab to slab height is important because that's what's going to dictate the height of your exterior walls. Just an FYI. So there's level 2, and then level 3. Let's get a space in there. Another office. Boom. 14 foot 4. Ceiling height. Okay, cool. So I've set a slab to slab and ceiling for each of these. Now, what I like to do is I like to scan through the drawings, and every different space type, I will do one of those. And then I've created space types for all the unique rooms here. And when I go to create a space type for a room that have already created a space type for, I can just copy paste. So let's start with office. This is going to be 101A office. So I name it 101A office. My space type is office space. This pulls from that basis of design I created in the first few steps. It's going to bring in all that information I need. There's not a roof above it. However, it is on a slab, so I select unheated slab. Slab to slab ceiling height's good. Number of people. This is calculated based on the office space occupant density. I do not have a set of furniture plans, so I can't really compare this to however many seats might be in this office. After I create all my space types, I may go back and override the number of people, and actually hard to input how many people I think will be in each space. But I'm gonna stick with calculated for now to keep it simple, and also to make it easy as I paste all this space data into my other offices. It will adjust that number based on the square footage of the office and get closer to probably what's gonna be realistic. I can account for infiltration here if I want to. If I wanted to do like a 0.25 CFM per linear foot of wall, I do that. And then miscellaneous cooling load would be if I had any special equipment that I need to account for. This is not plug load like we see in our basis of design. I already have that included with the space type. This is like if you have a server room with a rack of servers and that's putting out X amount of heats, you could input that heat output here. So I'm gonna leave this blank for pretty much all of these spaces. So there's office, and like you'll see, this is another office. So what I can do is I can select this space type, I can copy that space data up here, select this office, and then paste it, and boom, it's gonna copy all those inputs over, and then I can just name it what it needs to be. So this would be 101B office. Okay. So there's those two offices. Now I'm gonna scroll around here and find other space types. So here's a conference room. Let's knock this one out. Okay, conference room, and this is actually gonna be named, let's see, 126. So 126 conference room. Space type conference. Again, no roof, it is on a slab. Calculated number of people, and it's not even exterior room, so I don't have to worry about infiltration, but that one's defined there. So let's go to the next one, restroom. Let's create a space for this restroom. This is 127 HC restroom. Space type is toilets, public, slab. And here with the restroom, there's an additional input. It's called exhaust units. This is where I count the toilets so we can get the right amount of exhaust. Just one in this case, so I will put 1. Now what else do we have here? We've got electrical rooms, IT rooms. This is a great place to stop. These are spaces that I do not have a space type for yet. So I'm actually gonna go back to my profile and I'm gonna create a space type for electrical/IT so I can use it there. So I'm going back here. I'm gonna create a space type from scratch this time. So let's call this electrical/IT room. And I can set different set point temperatures in these rooms. You probably don't need to cool it as much. So let's go with like a 78 cooling. Same with heating, doesn't need to be heated as much. Let's go 60 and stick with the same kind of humidity in there. Ventilation requirements are gonna be 0 for these spaces. They're non-occupied. Exhaust is gonna be 0. And then my interior loads, no people. I'm gonna put in these values just in case for whatever reason I wanted to add a person, it would already have the data. Lighting load is gonna be very low. So I'll do like a 0.6 probably. And equipment load, I'm actually gonna put 0 because what I wanna do with this space is instead of applying a plug load to that space, I'm gonna actually, on an individual space basis, hard input what my heat output is gonna be in this electrical room. So again, this is my 130 electrical. So let's go 130 electrical. Space type is electrical/IT. It's on a slab. Nobody in there. Miscellaneous load. So if I know, hey, the electrical equipment in there has 5,000 watts of heat output, the electrical engineer can tell me this. I can look at the equipment data for the transformers, whatever's going in there, and input that here. So I don't have that information right now, but I'm gonna account for 5,000 watts of heat output as a good placeholder, and that'll account for, geez, like 1.5 tons of cooling. Maybe that's low, but it's good for now. So there's an electrical space defined. What else do we have? Janitor room, that's a new one. Let's grab this. Now this little guy is 133 janitor. Space type is janitor closet. It's on a slab. And I'm good to go on that one. What else? Hey, cafe, cool. So let's just grab this area and treat that kind of like a kitchen. So does this even have a number with it? No. So let's just call it cafe. Space type is gonna be residential kitchen. Oops, residential kitchen on a slab. And a couple people in the kitchen, nice, working. Exhaust units. So this was 50 CFM per unit on exhaust, and I'm just gonna count for 100 CFM of exhaust there. Maybe they tell you later, hey, we don't really have anything going on. Yeah, you don't need exhaust. That's fine, I just zero it out. So that'll be captured there, kind of its own category, so I can adjust that as needed. This lobby area and reception, okay, that's another one. So let's look at my space types for this. I can count reception here, and I've got reception area and a main entry lobby that's separate. So this will definitely be reception, and they're calling this 117 reception. Okay, see that? Ashtray is telling me there's 4.8 people in this kind of area, but I'm looking at this, there's not going to be 4.8 people. So this one, I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it now. There's going to be one person in there, in most cases, maybe two every now and then, but there's one seat. So let's go with one person, and we'll move on from there. So the lobby. Now, this is a big open space. I'm not going to take this off as one space because this is going to be on multiple zones. It will not be one fan coil unit or one VAV serving this entire open lobby space. So that's important to note when you have large open areas. You don't just trace the walls. You have to think about your zoning. You're going to divide this up because you can only zone it in as much detail as the spaces that you've drawn. So I'm going to break this up into this area, the middle area, and then the top area, which will be good as well because that separates the exterior from the interior. And oh, this is great. There's a vestibule here. So that's going to handle a lot of my load before it hits the lobby. Vestibule. While I'm on that, I don't have a space type for vestibule. So let me go and add that. This is part of the process. As you see spaces that you missed, like that one wasn't even labeled, I can go in and I can find my vestibule space type. And I believe there is one in Ashtray. Let's see where that is. Conference General. Let's see, is there one? Miscellaneous. It's not an office, I used that already. Public Assembly. All right, I may be wrong about that. There may not be a space type for vestibule. And in fact, that's okay, because I'm just going to treat it like a corridor, unoccupied transient space. So I take that back, but this is part of the process, right? So let's take care of that vestibule. Again, it's nice that all these are squares, rectangles, I mean. So I'm just going to name that 100 vestibule. Treat this as a corridor, and it's on a slab. Let's definitely account for some infiltration here. Probably more like 0.5. You got these doors opening and closing. This is just the total guesstimate. In reality, they'll be opening and closing. You're going to get more than that, but hey, engineering judgment, right? So there's that one. Now let's do the lobby area as a separate space. We're going to account for more people hanging out in the lobby, especially because there's a cafe here. I'm guessing there's going to be some seating, maybe some tables over here as well, but I don't have a furniture plan to confirm that right now. So let's just get one lobby space ready. Let's look at what the occupancy looks like if I just use the default. And like I said, I'm going to cut it off right there. So this will be 100 lobby. I'll use south because these are all going to be the same name here. Okay. You'll also note, if you look at the list, you'll see red dots next to spaces that haven't been defined yet. So this is so you can keep track of what you've already completed, what you haven't. Say you do all the takeoff in one go, and then you create a bunch of space types. This will help you keep track of that. So this lobby is manager lobby, unheated, and number of people would be 3.4. I'm okay with that. Some folks just kind of walking in, coming and going. Again, transient spaces. Maybe for 10 minutes there's 20 people in here, but they are all walking away. That is great. While I'm on that, I'm going to create a space type for this lobby area here, because I actually want to account for more people hanging out outside the cafe and maybe sitting down, which is not really defined per the drawings. So this is going to be my 100 lobby north. Space type is manager lobby, unheated. I'm going to do a custom number of people, and I'm going to say 10 people. Cool. Oh, let's do some infiltration too, because it's on the exterior with big doors. All right, that lobby is defined. This actually reminds me of another thing that I mentioned and then passed over. So I'm calling this lobby north, but let me check the plans and confirm that plan north is true north. So let's see what we got here. Does this tell me? Do they have a compass? Where is the compass? They do not. So my next question is, do they have a site plan? Nothing there. Foundation plan doesn't have a compass either. Unless I'm missing it. I'm not seeing it. Alright, let's keep looking. They're calling this south elevation and this north elevation, which is a good sign. Good sign that plan north is true north. Let's see. Where's the site? This will be helpful too. Check this out. We've got some side shading. Not bad. We'll make sure we account for that with our windows. This is also an interesting overhang as well. That slant is going to be something. I don't know how much shading that's really providing overhead. Yeah, probably not much. A little bit. All right, all right. Oh, nope. That doesn't really help me either. Okay, I'm not seeing a compass anywhere, but if you look at this setup, they're saying this is south elevation, and this matches this south side right here. And if I look up, I'll see I've got a balcony up here on what I'm assuming is the north elevation, so I can confirm that by looking at, yeah, this drawing here. The balcony is here, which is north elevation. So plan north is true north as far as I'm concerned. That's a very easy tweak if I need to correct for that. Okay, back to my space types. I've already got conference room, offices, what's new? I've got restrooms, the nursing room. I already said I'm going to treat that as an office, so I'm not worried about that. Sprinkler room is unconditioned. I'm going to leave that off. Let's check out level 2. Do we have anything new up here? IT, mechanical, janitor. Mechanical I'll treat as like an electrical and IT room, but I'm going to put 0 or next to 0 heat output there. Lounge. Okay, that's a new one. And then staircases. Okay, let's do this lounge though. Create a space. Let's go like this. I'll consider this part of the corridor. And this is 207 lounge. My space type is going to be, could do a lobby type. I'm going to treat it as a break room. And this is level 2. There's no roof and there's no slab. And number of people, yeah, if this is a lounge, that's 25 people. I'm good with that. Okay, I think level 1 covers the rest of the space types. Another lounge, we already got that though. And I don't see anything new here. Yep, nothing new. All right, great. So now I'll go back to the beginning. I'm going to build out the rest of these spaces. So starting with my office space types, I'm going to go through, take up all the offices, and then copy these inputs into each of my offices. This is what that would look like. There's an office. There's an office. Kind of like to do it in clusters so I don't lose track of things. I won't get too far before I actually copy and paste all this data for each of these. Keeps me a little bit sane. So now I'll name these. This is 102A office. So it goes something like that. And I'll go ahead and do the rest of these offices, fast forward for you guys, and then get into the next space type. So taking a step back, and boom. All right, now all my offices for level 1 are defined and named. Now I'm going to do conference rooms next. So here's the other conference room. Let's grab that. Go to my already defined conference room space, copy that, and I'll paste that here. And then I'll just name this appropriately, 135 conference room. Looks good there. Any other conference rooms? Negative. So let's take care of the rest of these restrooms. By the way, if you mess up with your space here, you can right click and hit edit. Now you can move these nodes around to better reflect exactly where you want to place them. Like so, you can even hold the shift button and click on a line to create a new node if you need to redefine the geometries of your space, or hold shift and click on a node to remove it. And then you'll be able to be more precise in how you are placing these and editing them. So hit enter to lock that in, and these are both going to be my restrooms. This is 138 HC restroom and 139 HC restroom. Any other restrooms? No. Okay, fantastic. Time to do my other IT room here. So okay, what do we have left? We've got another lobby over here. It really looks more like a vestibule. And then, oh, like I said, nursing, I'm just going to model as an office space, a very small one. This is 140. Nursing. Let's just copy office inputs there. This time, it's such a small space, your people density is not going to get you a good estimate, so I'm actually going to customize that, put one person in there. So I know we're covered. And then the rest of this is, yeah, stairwells, corridors, elevator shafts, which are not going to be conditioned. So from here to finish this level, I'm going to break out the corridors into different spaces. I'm not going to do it all as one space because, again, I'm going to zone it a certain way, and so I want to make sure I've broken out sections. So if I do pair it with an adjacent space or just want to zone it together, I have more options. So I'll go through and kind of fill in the gaps by creating spaces for different sections of this corridor. Stop. Very nice. Okay. Now I've got my entire floor is defined. And what I'll do next is the exact same thing with level 2 and with level 3. The only difference really between level 2, level 3, and level 1 is I just need to pay special attention to roof type and slab type. For instance, if I'm copying spaces from level 1, it's going to include my slab. And so when I paste that to level 2, I got to make sure that my slab type is off, because level 2 is not on a slab. If I'm copying a space from level 2, then I'm good to go. I don't really need to worry about those. And then likewise with level 3, I'm going to have a roof type on, but I'm not going to have a slab type. So I'll just pay attention to those and make sure I'm copying from the right level. Otherwise, I'm just going to make sure that the roof and the slab are defined as appropriate for that level. So again, so you don't have to watch me do all this, I'm going to fast forward and complete level 2. And boom, there we go. Level 2 and level 3 are complete, and all these space types have been defined. A couple notes, some things I noticed as I was doing this. This area right here, this is open to below. This is a atrium space by the stairwell. So on level 2, I'm leaving this area unconditioned, and it's essentially not going to be considered a conditioned area. The second thing to note is up on level 3, we have this little indent here where the balcony is. And as I was creating my spaces, instead of doing a straight rectangle, I actually did a polygon and made sure that this line segment right here is its own separate line segment, so that in the next step, walls, I can define this portion as an exterior exposure, whereas this is still all interior. So I did the same thing over on this side. That's something to keep an eye on as you're drawing your spaces. If you have one side of the room that is split between exposure and interior, you'll want to separate that with a line segment so you can capture it properly. So with that said, one thing I like to do before I move forward is I'll go to each level and quickly scroll through all my spaces to make sure I don't have any red dots, make sure I didn't miss anything. In this case, it looks like everything is defined, so that's good. Same with level 2, everything's defined here. In level 3, I've got all my spaces defined. So, oh, hey, that's why I do this. This office space right here is missing the space type. So I'll grab that and paste it onto that one. Now that one's defined. Okay, glad I checked. So there we go. All of these spaces are now fully defined, and if you wanted to, you had the furniture plans, you wanted to get more granular with your analysis here, you could go in space by space, take a look at the number of people, customize that, and update it accordingly, rather than just going with the calculated occupancy based on your people density. With that said, I'm going to stick with the default calculation for now and proceed with walls and windows. So let's head over to walls and windows.